Broadcasting from the Merritt Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to Covering the Field. I'm Joe Ellison, and with me today is my fantastic colleague, Big Richard Martin. Big Rich, all the playoff series have begun in the National Basketball Association. What's the big news so far?
Well, the biggest news I would have to say is your Sacramento Kings. How about the Pacific champions coming out there and playing great? They are taking care of the Golden State, as people are calling them, not the Golden State, down 2-0. And that's the first time that Golden State has been down 2-0 since 2007. So I think that was probably before the Curry even era, so they've not this particular team. We call them probably a historic team. When you say they're one of the dynasty, we can put the D in that. Yes, exactly. And it seems like Seth Curry is more interested in doing Subway commercials than making 3-pointers this series. Having a difficult time. Draymond Green
slightly injured.
He could be slightly injured. He looks like he's having a hard time getting his shots off. He's driving to the hoop very well. Instead of the Splash Brothers, they were looking like the Dive Brothers. It was good. They're slashing to the hoop very well. Klay Thompson hit a few clutch threes down the stretch. I thought they might have a chance, but De'Aaron Fox is just amazing in the fourth quarter, and he's coming up clutch. And they kind of remind me of the young Golden State when they were coming in 2013. If you remember, they beat they had the Spurs on the ropes in 2013, and it seems like then the playoff battle-worthy Spurs came back and won that series, and it just seemed like this is just good news for the Kings. They look like they're a team that's going to be around for the future, and California love, I guess, like Tupac. We got the Clippers winning, we got the Lakers winning, we got Sacramento winning.
You got all four California teams in the playoffs.
Are in the playoffs,
first time ever. Then you were going to start mentioning Draymond Green.
Yeah, no Draymond Green in game 3. So, right, no problem for the Warriors. No Draymond. He did the old mule kick, and they gave him suspended him out of the game. I thought that was even harsh, suspended him from the game as he grabbed his foot. What do you want him to do? I thought Shaq, after the NBA game was over, they have their commentaries afterwards, and he said he would have done the same thing. Someone grabbed his foot, and he even told Kenny Phillips, grab my foot and see what happens. And I thought that was kind of funny. But the Warriors, no problem, right? Because they are sink or swim the best home record with 33-8. Is that the best, Joe? The answer?
This year? I believe the Memphis Grizzlies were the best.
You are correct. The Memphis Grizzlies are 35 and 5, so
35 and 6.
35 and 6, yes.
Yeah, I believe.
So the Memphis Grizzlies, but they 33-8 is very good, but they're also 11-33 on the road. The Warriors are, which tells you exactly where they should be 0-2, and they're going home to Oracle. And I think good things will happen. The Warriors are shooting 32% in the postseason and 38% throughout the year they've shot. So that's probably the reason they're losing these close games. De'Aaron Fox, like we said, he had 38 in game 1, 24 in game 2. And again, Sabonis is averaging 18 points and 12 rebounds a game. So he's doing his job. So, it's not the article. It's the Chase Center. That's the baseball field article next door. Sorry. I apologize for that. All you Warrior fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the Warriors, this is the third worst road record for any defending champion. So it's no surprise that they're struggling. As far as Draymond Green, this is more maybe the accumulation of things. He did punch his teammate before the season started, and there was no punishment for that. And he was flapping his lips a little bit to the crowd. And after,
like he normally does,
yes.
That's what he tries to do. Get on the skin. I think maybe,
but it all adds up.
Well, Demontis Sabonis actually got got him on a little bit of his own medicine. Get under his skin and make him do a stomp and drag. Yeah. And now he's out for the rest of that game and game 3, which is crucial for the Golden State Warriors.
Well, the Warriors gave up 23 points in the last 7 minutes without Draymond.
Right.
So that's
definitely affected the game.
I feel a higher scoring game this time around, game 3.
I think so, because they have to win. And I think without the defensive presence of Green in there, I think that gives.
I kind of thought Steve Kerr could have started fouling with a couple minutes left and maybe trying to get that second game a little closer, hit some threes, but it looked like he said, okay, we lost.
Yeah.
And they kind of quit.
Looked like they a little bit give up the, the crowd was going crazy and, great fans out there in Sacramento. That place was electric.
In that first game, what a thriller, huh? The 126, 123, 24 lead changes.
It just seemed like every time Golden State would go up, Fox would have the answer. And he definitely, they shot well and they shoot well in the 3-pointers. Seemed like their 3-pointers are non-contested as the Warriors are shooting. Seemed like they're playing better defense on Sacramento, getting those hands up on those 3-pointers.
Yeah. Well, that was great. That was the second most lead changes in a series opener in 25 years. So that's going to rank up there with one of the best playoff games in a while.
Right. And definitely entertaining to watch. The West high scoring offenses, rather than the East, they play a little bit more defense, a little bit hard-nosed basketball. Okay.
Well, how about them Lakers? My team. Although Sacramento, I do have a connection to the Lakers.
Right.
I've been around a lot longer than Sacramento, and they are my first love.
Okay, well, we'll talk about your first love. Lakers, Anthony Davis thought he was going out. He said he couldn't feel his arm. He had a shoulder injury in the second quarter. I thought for sure he'd be out in street clothes like he normally is. But he came back and had 22 points, 13 and 12 rebounds. But I think the real story is, was it Hachimura's 29 points off the bench, and the Lakers gave up 3 second-round picks for the former Gonzaga star, who was the 9th pick overall 3 years ago. So,
do they even have a first-round pick?
I don't think they have first-round picks, at least for 2030. But I think this last trades definitely came through. They're one of the best second-half records in the basketball, and they're playing like it. So they got everybody together.
Best in the West, for sure.
Yeah, Hachimura was 8 for 9 in the second half, and had 5 3-pointers. And Reeves had 14 points in the fourth quarter and was 5 for 5 down the stretch. So didn't need Anthony Davis or LeBron. First time, I think, that since the 70s, they had 4 20-point scorers in the game. They had 20, and then D'Angelo Russell had 19. So he was only a point off having 5 with 20. So they're spreading the ball well, playing well as a team. Lakers look really good. And we have an injury to Ja Morant, to his wrist injury, right wrist, his shooting hand. So he didn't have any breaks or in any of the bone structure, but they definitely have a sprained wrist, a lot of pain. And if anybody's sprained, sometimes hurt worse than breaks. So I think that's something to watch. I think that he's not going to be able to score, but we said they have the best record at home. And so they're definitely in need of that tonight.
11-10 is their record without Morant. So very mediocre.
Right.
It's a big loss. As far as the game itself, the Lakers were only up by 1 point with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left, and had a 15-0 finish to win by 16. So
that was out without Ja Morant in there on defense, and also so it definitely affected the game. But you have to just say, the bigs of the Lakers are just dominating the series, and I think they will continue.
Okay, we got the Clippers, LA Clippers, arch rival of the Lakers,
right?
And Phoenix tied at 1-1.
Well, you got to look at Kawhi Leonard. He's had 31 points in the loss. Kevin Durant had 24, and DeAndre Ayton is averaging 14 points and 13 rebounds a game. And so he's playing great, 38 points. Like we said, for there's Booker at 38 points in game 2. The Clippers got that big win. And, I think Russell Westbrook's playing very good. He shot 3 for 19 in game 1, but he still hustled. I think it made him a better defensive player, a rebounder. And so he's actually scoring. He had, 28 points in the loss, but he actually, I thought he played better in game 2. And I think he's going to be a factor until they get Paul George back.
Yeah. Well, even when he played for the Lakers, as bad as he played, he was trying his hardest. It just wasn't working out.
Just wasn't working. The ball just wasn't going in the basket. That's what the problem was. But, this is going to be I'm looking at this game going 7. I was really surprised the way the Clippers hammered them on game 1. And it just seems like, just a little bit getting used to each other. Like I said, Durant hasn't played a lot with them, so maybe just have to get a little bit of the chemistry together. But I think this game will definitely go 7, this series.
Well, some streaks were broken. Durant was 8-0 with Phoenix, and they lost game 1. But Durant had lost 7 playoff games in a row until they won game 2. And Chris Paul broke his 13-game playoff losing streak to Scott Foster, the referee for the league.
Yeah,
It just seems every time he runs into him, he loses, but Chris Paul actually came out on top this time.
Okay, well, good. The analytics with the referee definitely was
went out the window this time.
Finally got broke. So, I think they're doing it. It's good, and I mean, I think Denver's just cruising right now. I mean, I had them going to the finals, and I think that the Timberwolves looks tired in that game. I mean, they played 5 out of 8 days prior to this, so that's a lot of games, a lot of back and forth to the West Coast and back. And Denver looked like they were rested, and the mile high thin air, and Denver 41% behind the arc, so they shot very well, and they out rebounded them 35-48, which means they probably were a little bit tired. Minnesota looked a little bit tired out there, and definitely Denver was rested. And game 1 was a blowout, 109-80, and I predicted Minnesota bounce back this game.
They've had some rest now.
Exactly. So they had the 3 days off.
Right.
So they'll be ready to play tonight, I'm sure.
All right. So let's take a look at the East now. Starting with the Milwaukee-Miami series, since Milwaukee is the number 1 seed, I guess we might as well just go in order.
Okay.
And boy, we had another surprise.
Yeah, a lot of injuries in this game. Giannis went out 10 minutes into the game. He goes out in the first quarter with a back. They're calling it contusion. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, that's a contusion, basically a big bruise.
Right, exactly. And he definitely was in a lot of pain. He tried to go back out there and he couldn't. And he's very questionable for tonight's game.
Doubtful even.
Doubtful. And Jimmy Butler had 35 points, and Tyler Hero out for the year with a broken wrist, diving after a ball, and he's out. But Kyle Lowry is back in. He's coming in from a knee injury. He played a little bit in game 1, but he'll be back. But Miami outshot him. They shot 60% from the 3. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Giannis does play some defense too. So 130 points by Miami.
Right.
So that was
60 points from 60% from the 3-point line. That's definitely going to run it up, but definitely they look better all the way through. Let's see if Milwaukee can bounce back tonight. I predict they'll win tonight against Miami.
Well, I would have to think so. 1-1 going back to Miami.
Right.
I agree. Boston, game 1. They beat Atlanta 112-99, and game 2, 119-106. Boston totally in the driver's seat in this series, up 2-0.
Right. They look like they're cruising over the Hawks. It just seems like, the Hawks are at home. They're 20-17 as they go back, but the Celtics are 25-16, a game better on the road. So I don't think they'll have any problem. Like I predicted, I think Boston will take care of business in 4 games there. I don't know. They're 2-0 against the spread. Them and Philadelphia both are covering the spread in the first opening games. So I'd be careful with that points. If it's, anything above 7, I wouldn't take it. But they have been covering the points. And, like you said, Hawks do play better at home.
Okay. Yes. Boston is number 2 in offense and defense in the league. No one else is even in the top 5 in both categories. So definitely a team to really watch out for.
Definitely.
Especially with Milwaukee banged up a little bit. And now you mentioned Philadelphia. They're also up 2-0 against Brooklyn. One, a higher scoring game, 121-01. Game 2, 96-84.
So, and again, they covered both of those spreads.
Yes.
Brooklyn just looks like overmatched. Joel Embiid is 23-12 and 2.5 blocks. That's what he's averaging. James Harden's averaging 15 points and 10 assists. So he's giving the ball up, and Maxey had 33 points, so they're well-rounded, man.
Do you give Philly a shot of winning it all? Or
I do. Absolutely. I think you can take, especially with the Tumbo out, I think that they're going to have to definitely have to go through Boston, the 2 and 3. If they go out, then they won't play until the finals because they're the 2 and 3 seeds. So Milwaukee has a very good chance of being knocked out without a Tumbo in there.
And Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo, yeah, Giannis. I'll say Giannis.
Okay, just say Giannis. So much. So anyway, the East has had 4 different teams in the finals the last 4 years. So Boston and Milwaukee were 2 of those. So Philadelphia might be the candidate to make it 5 in a row.
Okay,
let's see how
it looks good. The 76ers, they look like they're going to roll in 4, and same thing with Boston. So we'll see what happens with that Miami. It's going to be interesting with all those injuries.
Okay, and last series, Cleveland and New York tied 1-1. Game 1, New York won 101-97. Game 2, Cleveland 107-90.
Well, the Knicks came out and just knocked them right in the teeth, didn't they? I mean, they played a great. Julius Randle, we talked about his injury. He only played 33 minutes, so out of 48. So they're definitely watching his, time management. But he's averaging 20 points and 9 rebounds. But Josh Hart, 17 points and 10 rebounds off the bench. That was the big difference in game one. Cleveland, Cleveland Rocks in game 2. They smashed them 107-90. It wasn't even that close. Donovan Mitchell, he's killing it at 27.5 points and 10.5 assists per game. The center is averaging 12 rebounds, 11 points. And, Evan Mobley's averaging 10 points and 12 rebounds. So they're Cleveland plays great defense and great rebounding team. You can see this.
Mm-hmm.
So I continue. This will be a great series, but we're going back to the Garden and they have home court advantage. So see what happens.
Well, yes, they are. Cleveland is great at rebounding, but New York had the edge in that first game, especially the offensive rebounds. Like you said, they have a physical.
Right.
In game 2, you're right. The game was not as close. The Knicks had 60 points after 3 quarters, and basically garbage time got up to 90. Cleveland has the number 1 D in the league.
Right.
So, and they showed it in that second game.
Well, Donovan Mitchell's straight stud. You know him. He can get if he's averaging 27 points, they're going to be in every game. And even their other Garland, their other guard, he's averaging 24 points a game. So they pass it around. It looks like a very good balanced team, and I think it's going to be a great series.
Couple more
good to watch.
Couple more NBA notes. Dallas was fined $750,000 for that tank job, which is basically a drop in the bucket for old Mark Cuban. And New Orleans, Zion Williamson seen dunking before the play-in loss, his 5-year, $215 million contract, and he's not even playing.
Right. It looks like, at the beginning, we thought, how long could Zion stay in New Orleans before he moves on? But maybe New Orleans might be moving on from Zion before that happens.
Yeah, it's something else. That's for sure. 18 for 36 free throws in that game, doomed him. A little screaming from one of the opponent's daughters.
Oh, that was great. Yeah. Rosen's daughter was screaming, and even my wife noticed that. She doesn't watch much basketball, but she was like, "Who's that screaming?" And we didn't know. And it was a little girl. They shot terrible from the free throw line. So she definitely has the effect. You might want to get her a ticket to every one of your games there next year. Rosen's daughter.
For sure. Well, you want to move on to hockey? Big Rich.
Yeah, let's see what's happening in hockey.
You start in the East.
Well, you're always about the East, but my big thing is what happened to home ice advantage.
Right.
2-6 in game 1 for the away teams have won 6 of the 8 games. So we'll start with your Bruins and that great play from your goalie, Linus, was it Omar? Yeah, 31 saves and a 9.69 save percentage. He definitely was a wall up there. And, it looks like the Panthers might be a little bit outmatched.
On Patriots a Day, of course, the Bruins were going to play well, you would think.
Well, the Red Sox didn't. So.
The Red Sox aren't good.
Okay. But anyway, the Bruins look good. They look like they're the team to beat for sure.
Yeah, they're the historically great team. 65 wins, 135 points are records. This new coach, Jim Montgomery, they made some trades. They're really deep now. They're good at face-offs. These are some amazing stats. You got to get to them early in these games. When they score first, they're 43-1-3, and they've only lost once when leading after the first period. So that's
you got to get on them early.
Well,
let's talk about Carolina then, because they have Antona Ratna, hit their Russian goalie, has 25 saves in that game when they won 2-1, but his record through the season is 19-3-3. So when he's under the pipes, he definitely gives you a chance.
Who are you talking about?
Carolina, Antona Ranta, their goalie.
Ranta, yes. Ranta, yes. He played the last game. They only gave up 1 goal. They got excellent defensemen, led the league in goals as far as defensemen. Question with Carolina is, can they score? Because they lost Andrei Svechnikov, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and they've only gone 500 since they lost him. So
still the number 2 seed, and I think they can give Boston a good match. There's 2
if they meet.
If they can meet that far. They're 1 and 2 seeds.
Now the Islanders goalie Elias Rockin, he appears to be the second best goalie behind Vasilevsky for Tampa Bay.
Right.
It should be a low scoring series. Unders might be strong. I'm going to guess that probably there was a 5.5 first game. I didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be a 5 next game.
Exactly.
So
take the under.
I would take the under on 5
Okay.
too, and maybe get a little plus money on that possibly.
Exactly.
Okay. Rangers won 5-1 against the Devils. Now, you talk about arch rivals. These teams really hate each other. So
Right. Yeah. Right
should
across
be
the
an
border,
awesome
the New York and New Jersey play. What I noticed about that was it Igor Skechkin, their goalie, and the Russian goalie was great. I mean, he only gave up 1 goal, and when New Jersey was 13-3 on giveaways, so you're not going to win too many playoff games when you're giving the puck away that much. And they did score 2 power play goals.
Right. And they blocked a lot of shots too on the Rangers. So
exactly.
It's
Not
just the goalie.
Exactly. The Rangers only got 23 shots off, and New Jersey got 30. So not a lot of shots on goal.
Mm-hmm.
So great defense, good neutral play, obviously by the Rangers.
Okay. And Tampa Bay. Oh, poor Toronto. Tampa Bay beats up Toronto 7-3. This is
smashed them.
Yes. This is a rematch of last year. Toronto, let's see, what was it? Oh, yeah, they beat them in game 7. Tampa Bay beat Toronto.
Right.
So it was
everybody was writing them off, right? Everybody, including us on the show. It's Tampa Bay, number 6 seed, was not going to even get out of the first round, and they just go and smash their Toronto Maple Leafs again. 7-3 is a wipeout.
Yeah. So that obviously the advantage in goal with Vasilevsky over Samsonov. And we saw that obviously in the first game. Tampa Bay, of course, has been in the finals 3 straight years. So we can expect them to play well, I guess.
Yeah, you would guess. I mean, don't write off a champion.
Toronto, they haven't won a series since 2004. So
and I thought this would be the year, but they'll see if they can bounce back. It might be a little bit of you have to take out Big Brother before you can move on and see if they can get past them.
Well, I'm going to take Boston at 5. I'm going to give Florida 1 game at home. And the Rangers, having already won that 1 game on the road, look like pretty good. 5-1.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'll say New York in 6. I'll give the Devils a win in the next game, and then maybe 1 and maybe in game 5, and then New York closes it out and at home in 6. Carolina, I wonder about that scoring. So I'm going to say Carolina in 7. And Tampa Bay, I think, is going to take care of business in 6.
Again.
Yeah, going to have to. So, yes, all 4 road teams won yesterday, which also means all 4 underdogs, right? Won yesterday. So
exactly.
Taking the dogs is where it's at.
1 through 4 goes down. So
the one team missing from the playoffs, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby, 16 straight years they had been going. And on the last day, Thursday, they didn't, what was it? The game before that, they lost to Columbus. Oh, man.
It took him out.
And that basically took him out. So
he can shave, doesn't have to grow his playoff beard this year. Right. Crosby after 16 years. It's tough loss for him because he's one of the great players ever to lace him up for sure.
Yes. And he hasn't said anything about retiring. So now Boston and Toronto have gone to the playoffs 7 years in a row. They are the longest to take over. And congratulations to the U.S. women's hockey team for winning the World Championship over Canada last Sunday.
Good.
Yeah. Usually
I remember that when they beat them before, wouldn't even put her silver medalist. The Canadian girl hockey player wouldn't she didn't even want the silver medal. She was so upset that she lost.
It's all about the gold.
Right. Okay. But we had some overtime games, though. I mean, we've got to talk a little bit about the Stars.
Yeah, we got to get down to the
West.
The West now.
Yeah. What about the Stars in their overtime? Thinking they were going to take care of business, and Wild came back and beat them in double overtime. Those of us on the Pacific Coast time enjoyed to watch that as the game was going on later. And the Kings and Oilers went to overtime. We had 2 overtime games going at one time, and I was really surprised to see the Kings pull that out. Oilers were up. What was it? 4-3 with 16 seconds left, and they were 6-4,
3-1. With about 6-7 minutes left.
And so they come back and tie it at 3. When they had 6-on-4, they had a power play, pulled the goal, and got that in with 16 seconds. And the Kings had the momentum at that point. A lot of disappointing fans down in Edmonton. They're going to be fine. They're going to come back and beat the Kings. They're too much talent, McDavid. Too much talent on that.
Penalties will kill you. Obviously,
you can't have a penalty. You can't have a penalty.
One
under 2 minutes. You can't do it. You can't do it. So the other game is the Avs. They get cracked by the Kraken. lot of people picked the Kraken as a good underdog. They had 100. We said that 100 points this year, and Gruber, who was last year. I was at the Pepsi Center yelling, Gruber. Now he's on the other team. 1 year later, they say thank you for the Stanley Cup and move away from him, and he gets a little get back. He had 34 saves and a 971 percentage save rate. So Avs outshot him 35-30, but wasn't good enough. A little bit, I think we give the nod to the goalie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, you're going to have some good goaltending. Giving up one goal to Colorado, that's not easy to do, obviously.
Right.
So I credit the Kings' defense against Edmonton. They actually holding McDavid down and only giving up 3 goals. And they got a good they have the advantage in goal, I think, with Korpisalo, so over Skinner. So they've got a shot. And but as I say, you got to go with history. Edmonton has lost 6 straight game 1s in their series, and they always seem to come back.
Okay. So, all right. So you got a chance.
Definitely got a chance. I'm going to take Edmonton in 7 in that one.
That'll be a great series.
Okay. As far as Seattle and Colorado, Seattle, I mean, this is only their second year, and in the playoffs, 19 more wins this year than last. Really deep team, 13 players with 10 or more goals.
Okay.
Tied with Edmonton. So for the most, but Colorado is the defending champion. You're missing Landeskog. He's not going to come back. He's done. A couple others left after the cup.
Well, McCarr just came back, so Kel McCarr will be back, and they'll get things done. I think the Avs will get it done in 6 or 7.
Right. And they did have a 31-7-4 finish, Colorado. So
yeah.
Franchise record 29 road wins. They've won 11 straight road games. So full on expect them to win game 2 at home and split at least in Seattle. And I'm going to say Colorado in 7.
Right. I think Colorado went 9-1 or 8-2 down the stretch too, down the final to get that second seed. They were battling that Central Division, so they actually got it done.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did. And yes, you were talking also about the overtime game. Yes, the double overtime game. Minnesota beating Dallas. You know, Dallas was the Minnesota North Stars at one time.
Right.
Maybe Minnesota a little motivated, extra motivation.
Well, they definitely got it done. Even. They look very, very even. You know, they're the 2 and 3 seeds in the Central, so they're very familiar with each other. Expect some 1-goal games with these guys. Stay on the money line. Don't bet the puck line in this series for sure, because I see it's very, very close series.
Right. And Jake Ottinger, the goaltender for Dallas, tremendous goaltender. He's the one who had the 64 saves in Game 7 last year that lost to Calgary. Otherwise, they would have advanced. And he was 37-11-11 this year. So I definitely expect Dallas to bounce back. And Pavelski got hurt, though. Joe Pavelski. He's on their top line. Okay. That could be a killer. But actually, Dallas should have won that game, I thought, having watched it. And I expect Ottinger to play well. I'm going to say Dallas wins in 7 in that one.
I like the Stars also. Good job, Joe.
Okay, thanks. And that leaves one more. Our final upset. Winnipeg beat Vegas. And boy, did they beat them. 5-1.
Yeah, they were yelling "Viva Las Vegas" for sure. Winnipeg, how do they do that? I mean, Winnipeg had 13-17 on shots on goal, and they shot 10-2 in the third period. How do you only get 2 shots on goal when you're down by 4 goals? Surprising win for me. I thought for sure that, being the number 1 seed. But we talk about this in hockey a lot. The number 1 seeds, a lot of these number 1 seeds go out, and it's proved to form right here with the Winnipeg Jets having a surprising win.
Yeah, well, every team in the West had 46 or more wins. So this is a pretty equal setup right here. So it's certainly not unusual to see an 8 beat a 1. Happens in hockey a lot.
Right.
So we could see it again. Connor Hellbuck is the better goaltender for sure. He played in 60 games this year, and he looks pretty amazing. At the beginning of the year, Winnipeg looked fantastic. After 45 games, they were the best team in the West. Then they kind of leveled off 50-50 and then came on a little bit at the end, 5-2 late. So
they got that 8 seed, and we'll see. Vegas missed the playoffs last year.
They did.
Number 1 seed this year. So like you said, back and forth, and another Winnipeg sees, because I don't see if there's going to be an 8-1 upset, it's going to be Winnipeg. It's not going to be the Bruins in Florida. So
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. So that if you're betting on the 8-1, usually I think you get some pretty good odds on that.
Without a doubt there too. And Winnipeg, they've lost 6 consecutive first round series. So eventually I see Vegas coming back and getting this in 7.
Okay.
Somehow.
I think it's going to be a great series there. Great hockey every night. We have great hockey, great basketball, great time of year. Enjoy watching these series. We get hockey and basketball every night of the week for the next 2 months or a month and a half. So love it.
You're going to get at least 4 games of hockey each day to do the first 4 games.
Right.
You can't beat that. So, Big Rich, do we have some news from Major League Baseball?
Well, we talked about the Rays being so good at the first. We had all the stats on those guys, and what do? They pull off 12, and they go lose 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. They go to Toronto, and that was great to see that field. Toronto's field's beautiful field out there in Toronto. It looked like it was sold out every game. They love their baseball in Toronto, so great job. Drew Rossman, we were talking about how sparkly he was with that 0.00 ERA. And his whip was 0.43, so I obviously took the bait and bet him in a parlay on Friday. And what does he do? He gives up 3 runs, or 2. He gave up 2 runs. He had like 5 walks. That he had such good control before. Gives everything up, so they pull him in the 5th inning. Bases loaded, still 2-1. Still got a chance to win my bet. Who do they bring in? Colin Porsche comes in with the bases loaded. And he throws 8 out of 9 balls. 8 out of the 9 were balls coming out of the bullpen. Walked 2 runs in, then gives up a hit for another 2 runs. Crazy. Bo Bichette goes 5 for 5 for the night, and you play a little better.
So anyway, enjoy the game, and got some
really good at 10-7 this year. So
got some squares.
And again, Tampa Bay, they come back and they still they win the last game of it, and then they take 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati this week.
Well, that 13-game streak tied the 82 Braves and 87 Brewers for second most. I guess St. Louis back in 1884. We're going to have to count them.
We have to count them, and I'm sure it wasn't the Cardinals.
No, it was the Maroons.
The Maroons. We talked about it last week. Exactly.
Rays, it was amazing. They outscored their opponents 101-30, and in that streak, and won 11 of those games by 4 or more runs. And
so they're definitely hitting the ball well. And
even more amazing, they have the 3rd lowest payroll in all of baseball.
Right.
Well,
that won't last for long. But what about another great story? What about Atlanta? They won 8 straight, and they're outscoring their competition 64-33. So they got a 31 differential. Arizona's hot. That's kind of good for baseball. Like Rockin Ronnie said, watch out for Arizona. They'll be better this year, and he's right on point. They're in first place. One thing to watch, though, their run scored and run against 83-81. So very, very close. LA, you can look at them at second place, 9-9. Their run scores is 96-75. So you can see that a little bit. That'll all even out a little bit, and I think that LA is going to come back, and of course the Padres will also. The Brewers are hot,
reaching 95 wins, though.
Not this year.
Probably out of
not this year, but they had a good pitching from last night. So, they have been a little bit streaky, but I think they have to just get their new team together. And, like I said, you got Clayton Kershaw on the mound, and he pitched a shutout last night, or he didn't give up any runs against the Mets. So look really good.
Yeah, his 200th win.
Well,
and gave up no runs.
No runs. So
yeah.
Very good to see that.
Congratulations.
What about the Pirates, though? They're 11-7 and winning by like 7 runs right now in Colorado. So they're going to be 12-7.
Even without O'Neal Cruz.
O'Neal Cruz, we talked about his great defense. And Pirates, always good to see the lovable Cubs. They're 10-6, so they're right there in the Central also. But we look at the Rangers, they're 11-6, and they have 100-66 on their run differential. So they're outscoring their teams like you were talking about. Talk about the East. All teams are 500 or better. That's pretty amazing there. The lowest team being Boston at 500, 9-9.
The group of death, as I called it, before the season started. Right. It's coming through.
Right. But you look at Tampa Bay, their run differential is 125, 150. That is 75 differential. So they are, like you said, they're outscoring 4-1 on their games. And we're seeing that, show up in the stats and the standings. But we can't forget your Oakland A's there, Joe. They are 3-15, and their run differential is -76 with the 63 to 136. League worst record, league's worst team.
They're actually doing a little worse than I thought they would. Right. That's saying something. I figured they'd win about 59, 58 games this year. They're on pace for less than that.
Exactly. So,
Maybe 35 at this rate.
Exactly. So they're not well baseball, but, Oakland's used to that.
Yeah. Well, that game Friday, we were watching it. They gave up 17 walks in that 17-6 loss to the Mets. On the Philly in 1916 and Boston in 1948 gave up 18 walks in a game. So pretty close.
Pretty close. Have a little bit of control problem out there in Oakland.
Yeah, they even brought in some outfielder or infielder to pitch the ninth inning, and he gave up a few of those too.
Okay, so it's not a real accurate thing if you have the second baseman throwing your ninth inning. So
some other notes, I guess, from baseball. Well, Monday was Patriots Day. That was the 10th anniversary of the bombing of the Boston Marathon. Left 3 dead and 250 injured. That year, Boston went on to win the World Series. David Ortiz was a grand marshal of the marathon. He was the MVP that year in the playoffs or the World Series, batted .688. Pretty amazing story, and he is forever a hero there.
I was watching a little bit of that marathon, and the women were running, and somehow there was a guy in front of the motorcycle. He was leading, and I don't know what race he was in, but why was there a guy out there on the women's part of it? I don't know. But he did finish before her, but obviously it wasn't
pulled the Rosie Ruiz and
something. I don't know, there's a guy out for him. But the Americans did good. I think they had a third and a fifth. I think the Americans did third and fifth, and so that's very good because usually the Kenyan and Ethiopian runners usually do well as they did.
They dominate.
Exactly.
Yes. Saturday was Jackie Robinson Day. Everyone wore 42, of course. First black player in Major League Baseball. We talked about Tampa. Oh, Jordan Walker's hitting streak to start the season. Yes, it ended at 12. That's tied Eddie Murphy, not the comedian.
Right.
Record set in 1912. Only one since 1901 to do so before the age of 21 to have.
A young talent out there.
Yeah, he's amazing. Mike Trout, 300 doubles, 300 home runs, and 200 stolen bases by the age of 31. Only 3 other guys have ever done that. Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, and Willie Mays.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good group right there.
Pretty good. And right now, just the Rangers are playing so well. And when you got DeGrom, you got 20 wins guaranteed with him if he stays healthy. He had another shutout outing, but he had a little bit of, I think he said his forearm. Had to leave a little bit early, but he definitely threw another great game.
Well, speaking of injuries, Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees, he's out 4 to 6, left hamstring. Texas shortstop Corey Seager is out 1 month, same injury. And Milwaukee stud right-handed pitcher Brandon Woodruff, he's out 15 days with a bad shoulder. Those are the main injuries anyway. As far as the game itself, these new rules changes are having the desired effect. Batting average is up 16 points. Stolen bases up 30%. This was last week. And game times down 31 minutes. Yesterday, Cleveland and Detroit played a doubleheader in 4 hours and 55 minutes. That included the break in between the games. It's unbelievable.
Right.
So
it's great. I think Boston had their first under 2 hour game in a long time. I think they had an hour, 58-minute game. So that's the desired effect. Get things moving, stop wasting much time. And it was a good game. We saw the Judge and Ohtani game was good yesterday with the Angels and Yankees. Ohtani hit a first inning 2-run homer, and the Angels went on to win.
Okay. We can thank Rockin and Ronnie McKinnon for most of that information. And Rich, was there some football news worth sharing?
Well, there was a big contract for a quarterback, just like we thought, right? Oh, wrong quarterback. Donovan McNabb. Jalen Hurts gets the big contract, highest paid football player now in the NFL, with the guaranteed money that he wanted. And, similar to maybe what Lamar Jackson was kind of looking for, but still not the guaranteed money that Deshaun Watson has. I think that's what he's holding out for. But good for him because he is the franchise player, and they were probably one bad call away from maybe winning the Super Bowl last year. So he might be getting Donovan McNabb's soup commercials, Campbell soup commercials that he used to get, because he's definitely going to be in Philly for a while now with this new contract.
No, it might be better to just pretend that Deshaun Watson contract never happened, because there's not going to be another one like that. It doesn't seem.
Right.
The owners are all got together and they're like, we can't let that happen again.
Right.
That's crazy. 179 million guaranteed for Hurts. That's good enough. You don't have to be a pig about it.
Right.
And the next 2 years are in his original contract, and that's only like 6 and 15 million. So
good for the Eagles to lock him up for a while, and you can now build that team, because this is definitely a good team. They'll be back next year for sure. With even though losing their defensive coordinator, they're still going to
and offensive
coordinator. They'll still be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Of course, no team has repeated in that division in 22 years, winning the division. So it's going to be.
So your Cowboys have a chance.
Cowboys
have a
chance.
Right.
Commanders.
Exactly.
You just never know in the NFL these days. But so Daniel Snyder, he sold the Commanders. Speaking of the Commanders, to the Josh Harris Group, $6 million. He bought the team for $6 billion.
$6 billion.
He bought the team for $800 million.
Well, he's got some capital games to pay on that for sure. You paid a little bit exactly. You remember when the Dodgers went for $1 billion, maybe when Magic Johnson bought them a few years back, and now you have the Commanders at $6 billion. So buying a sports franchise is not a bad deal. It's not a great return on your money.
I'm sure he's sad. He's kind of forced to let the team go, but he's trying all the way to the bank, I guess.
Exactly.
So good for him.
He has 6 billion reasons to be happy.
Yeah. And so does his wife.
Exactly.
And great news for Buffalo safety DeMar Hamlin, been cleared to resume full football activity. Of course, he's the player almost died
right
on the field, and we had to resuscitate him.
Exactly, and that's good for football to see him out there. Have number 3 out there back on Buffalo. Would love to see him.
Well, hopefully he does get back. I mean, the odds would seem to be against him, but maybe not. He's been cleared for full activity. Seems unlikely, doesn't it?
I know, but I think he's going to be out there for sure.
Okay. So I was watching a little of the XFL and USFL, and they were both playing at the same time. What do you think of that?
Just too much amateur football this time. Right now, the basketball and hockey has showcase time on TV, I guess. Who has time for XFL when you had all this going on? But I don't know. It's good to see the USFL. I saw Doug Peterson was at the game watching his son plays for New Orleans, and he said it's just good to get some tape for these guys. And like you said, these are all practice squad quarterbacks. Maybe get a backup role, but still good to watch. I think it's just too much. I mean, if we had one league, I think it would be a better, but 2 leagues is just too much, I think, at this time. So we'll see what happens.
Well, officially they are professional. They are getting paid. They are not amateurs, but if you want to consider them to be amateurs, that's fine.
Well, there's no comparison to the NFL. I mean, no. But it's good to see they are great athletes from collegiate athletes. And if you want to watch football, you get some springtime, summertime football for you.
Well, it's even a notch below Canadian football, I would say, from what I've watched. Yes. And I will say Jack Collinsworth and Jason Garrett do an excellent job of calling the games on NBC. I was watching that game, and I thought they did a hell of a job. It's too bad Garrett didn't coach as good as he does commenting for the Cowboys. But anyway, it can be entertaining. So
I think it's good to have when you have it. It's good to have. You can go over try some new rules out that you might want to try for the NFL. I think that's good experimental.
The double pass is the interesting one,
right? So I don't think we'll ever see that in the NFL. But anyway, I like the way they do their 2 and 3 point conversions. I think that's good, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. NASCAR last Sunday, Chase Elliott returned to the track. Kyle Larson won at Martinsville in a Chevy at odds of 13-2. Next weekend is Talladega. What do you expect, Big Rich?
Well, we have a 2.66 mile track, big track at 30 degrees, super speedway, 4 wide, lots of crashes. We love, thinking it's Chase Elliott. He did win there last year in October. And they raced there twice last year, and Ross Chastain won it in April. Blaney finished second, and he does very, very well there. So watch. But here is your sink or swim. Jeff Gordon has the most wins at Talladega. Sink or swim.
Oh, I got to go sink. Jeff Gordon wasn't known for his super speedway victories. I'd have to go somebody like Richard Petty or somebody like that.
Well, we'll go with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt with 10 wins at Talladega. So he owned that track for sure. Yes. Remember 2004 where Jeff Gordon did win, and it was over Dale Earnhardt Jr. And there was approximately 500 beer cans thrown at him while he was doing his victory lap because people were not happy with Jeff Gordon and his Rainbow Warrior car. They're definitely Talladega is a Dale Earnhardt area for sure. So it'll be great to see this race. I mean, always like great crashes. 4 wide all the time. The final 10 laps are always exciting there. And so we'll see what happens. I kind of like Ryan Blaney. He does good there. Chase Elliott coming back from his injuries. Like I said, he won last year in October. Maybe you can get the old number 9 up there again.
Yep. A couple of big ones, as they call them, at the end of the race.
Right.
You would think. And Chevy again probably will do well. And I'm surprised to hear that Dale Earnhardt did so well at Talladega, because he struggled at Daytona, and that's the other super speedway. Right. And I only won it like once.
Right.
It took him forever to win it. So, yeah, I would have never guessed him.
Well, you guessed Jeff Gordon wasn't it, so you definitely got it right.
I got that part.
Got that part right.
All right. In golf, last week, Harbour Town Golf Links England's Matthew Fitzpatrick held off my man, Jordan Spieth, on the third hole of a playoff, which is fine with me because I didn't have any money on Spieth like I did at the Masters.
Right.
Sure, now he shows up, and I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he didn't win at the end. Lipped out on that second playoff hole. But the bigger story I thought was Rory McIlroy withdrawing from the tournament, being fined $3 million. A PGA Tour mandates golfers must attend all but one of 12 designated events if they want to get what they call this player impact program money, whatever the heck that is. And he already missed one event. So
you got
is that crazy or what?
Yeah, $3 million for missing a tournament. That's kind of hefty check to write for that, I'd imagine. But I think he's doing okay with his finances, and maybe you want to take his wife out somewhere nice. And it's worth $3 million to do it.
He was probably disappointed. The week before, he was trying to complete the career Grand Slam. He didn't even make the cut at the Masters. He played terrible. I think he just needs time to regroup.
Right.
And, but he didn't give any reason for skipping the tournament. So just resting, I guess. Let's see. Oh, yes. The impact payout. Uh-huh. Oh, reward players for boosting engagement and publicity of the PGA Tour. Well, 40 million went to 10 players. 100 million was spread out over 20 players in 2022. So that's a lot of cash.
Well, where does that money go?
I don't even know. Does it
go to the PGA official program, or do you get to pick a charity? I don't know.
It's I guess it's for you because they can take it back from you too.
Exactly.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the moments we've been waiting for. Stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end, something went horribly wrong. They ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call "You Got Hosed."
You got hosed.
Well, I'll start it off there, Joe. If anybody took Milwaukee with Giannis going out in the first quarter, you got hosed on your game bet. And if you took them to win it all, or if you took them to win that series, you're in deep trouble. So Milwaukee, I think you got hosed with the first injury to Giannis.
Well, I think they were the biggest favorite on the series. And now they're still favored by a lot less.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, my you got host story is Rory McIlroy. We just talked about it. The NBA's Mark Cuban, Dallas Mavericks, they sit down all their best players and tank games to avoid making the playoffs. They ruin the integrity of the sport, and they get fined $750,000. McIlroy skips 2 golf tournaments, and he gets fined $3 million. Comparing it, Rory, you got completely hosed.
Exactly.
You got hosed.
That's it for the show. I'd like to thank Big Richard Martin from Gator Gates, all our contributors, especially Rockin, Ronnie McKinnon, this show, our editor, producer, engineer, and Engineer Cornelius, and all you listeners out there. And next week, we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.